Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Spannerman again here with another video. Hope you enjoyed the video today. Please subscribe to the channel. Any comments, thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Spannerman again here with another video. Today we're going to talk about the Stihl 2-in-1 file unit. There's lots of knockoffs out there on the market. They're probably equally as good. But anyway, this is a Stihl one. I bought this when they first come out, before the knockoffs all came out. The instructions are here, so it comes in a little plastic packet like this, and the instructions are folded up. And there's virtually no written instructions. They've just got a bunch of pictures, and they expect you to be a genius and be able to figure it out by that. Probably the only thing that makes sense is that when you look here, you'll see that where the file goes in the handle, that file goes on the bottom, not on the top. So you've got two files. So one file goes one way and the other file goes the other way for left and right. The other thing is, you would have thought that Eddie the expert would have put left and right on them. Anyway, they don't. They just assume, they put an arrow and think that you know that that's left or right. Would have been easy just to put an R and an L on there. Anyway, I just put a bit of masking tape on there and put an R and an L. Okay, so now that I've got that out of the way, and just for those that don't know, if you look at the side of it where it's got made in Germany, that's the right side, for the right side tooth, which is viewed from the back. And if you look at the other side, there's no, there's only a bit of a diagram here, which really doesn't make an enormous amount of sense, and an arrow, and that's the left side. I guess you can tell by the pin in the back, it's got the little slot, that's the left side, and the pin that's solid is the right side. So anyway, if we look at the tooth, this tooth here is the left side. We'll just see if we can zoom in there a bit, so whether you can see that. So that's the left side tooth viewed from the back. So that being the case, we need to hold this in this position with the arrow left side. Now you'll notice that I've got a little dot here. That little dot means that you need to sit the file, and that will sit on the tooth. This bar, the fourth bar, will sit on the other tooth. So if we're doing the left side here, that bar that I just spoke about will sit on here. And that's the way that it works. One bar sits on this tooth, one bar sits on that tooth. So the file is here, the bar sitting on the tooth, and it's sitting on the tooth there. You've got your 30 degrees, so that's parallel with the bar. So then it's just a matter of, we'll just zoom back out so that you can see a little bit better. So it's just a matter of holding one with one hand and one with the other, getting a comfortable position, and just light strokes like that. You don't have to take it off. You can pull back, but don't put any pressure on there, because it's the quickest way to damage a file. So you could push forwards and barely try and slightly pull it off the tooth so it doesn't touch. You just got to get used to doing that. So once you've done that and you've filed it and you've checked it and go, yeah, that tooth's all right. So let's just say you do 4 or 5 strokes, and then you do your next tooth. So this is the right hand tooth, which is the closest to the operator. So then if you flip your file over, you need to flip it over and turn it around to the right side. And you'll have to come from the other direction, and it'll be the same thing. There's a little dot here. You'll have to place that file in there, and you'll see that this bar now rests on the tooth. So we'll just zoom in there so you can see that. So this is a right hand tooth here. This bar that's closest to the file, so you'll see there's right hand, there's the arrow, there's a direction. So you've got to come from, if we're doing the right hand tooth, you've got to come from the back of the tooth, place the file in there, hold at 30 degrees, and proceed to file forwards. Now, if everything's going okay, you'll find out that the center file will automatically it's preset at probably about, supposed to be around 0.65 of a millimetre. That's all it's ever going to do. As I've spoken in many of my other videos, I don't recommend using a depth gauge. It's not progressive. This is a constant depth gauge, meaning that it's set up for one depth and one depth only. It's okay when your chains are brand new, and once they get down to near the halfway mark, you really need to go away from this type of tool. You can still use it to file, but I would definitely put a progressive depth gauge on and check these. Now, I've mentioned before in all of my videos how much you really need to use a progressive depth gauge like this. So this is the depth gauge that you should be using, because when you get to the end of the life, it'll be taken at least 1.4 millimeters off. You don't want to be taking 0.65 of a millimeter using this by the time you get to the end of your life, because your chain won't cut as good. Simple as that. And that's the truth. Then you might say to me, why does Stihl do it that way? Look, these depth gauges, these little flat depth gauges, and this, what we refer to as a constant depth gauge, were invented in 1953 by Joseph Burford Cox from the Oregon Tool Company, and put a worldwide patent on it. And they're still using them today like this, these ones, constant depth gauge. All as they do is take off 0.65 of a millimetre. That's all they take off. This is going to do the same. It's only ever going to take 0.65 of a millimetre off. It's only okay in the beginning. It's only in 2017 did Stihl ever release these progressive depth gauges. So you'll find out that please use these or get yourself one. It's okay to use this, but once your tooth wears down about halfway, yeah, you can still use it, but make sure you start using this, because this will get the right depth and you'll find out, go, wow, my saw's cutting really good. So for those people out there that maybe are using this right to the end of the witness mark, I'll guarantee you, if you think about it, your saw won't cut as good as a brand new chain. No way known will it, because it doesn't have the depth and the rocking motion of the teeth, which is inevitable, because as the chain goes around, the whole idea of the depth gauge is the depth gauge. We talk about the attack angle, and the attack angle is the angle between the top of the tooth and the depth gauge, which is roughly about 6.2% being optimal. So therefore, if you use a progressive depth gauge, you'll get very close to that 6.2 degrees angle. Using this, you'll never get anywhere near that angle. You'll probably end up with about 4.5. And as I say, the rocking motion gets very aggressive as the tooth wears down. It's something that you're probably not aware of. And it wasn't till 1960, or what was it? Hang on, 1953, when Joseph Cox invented the standard depth gauge, and Ray Carlton in 1965, it may have been, probably invented the progressive depth gauge and called it Philo plate. Husqvarna have had theirs out for quite a while. Husqvarna don't sell this type of gauge. They sell the progressive depth gauge, but Stihl are more aggressive. Stihl is the most aggressive. This is also hardened. You run the file over the top so you won't damage the plate. It's harder than a file. Look, thanks for watching. Final comment on this: if you've only got one chainsaw and a couple of chains, this will get you out of trouble. No problem there. It just depends whether you like using one of these. Some people like them. Look, I've got nothing against them. They're not really my cup of tea, because I've got that many chains out there and different chainsaws. I prefer grinders. I do use files, but that's people have all different opinions on everything, and there's nothing wrong with this. As I said, you can get the knockoff ones. They're probably just as good. As this was around about $60. Just bear in mind, again, these come in different sizes, so not one will fit all. Same as the files. They'll be all different file sizes, and the raker will be the same, but it's the file sizes that are different. As I said, I haven't interchanged any of the files. They're Stihl files. If you go to a Stihl dealer, They'll try and sell you the ones. I don't know whether these are any different in length than the standard. These are 5.2 millimeter file, by the way. You'll see that written down there. 3/8, 5.2 millimeter. Anyway, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Bye for now.